Okay, hey everyone, welcome back to the Black Carnivore live stream. I am really excited to be here today. So I told some of you anyway that I was going on a road trip to visit my dad. So I am now in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and it was a long trip, but it was good, and I am here and broadcasting from a new location, and that's why things look different. And my lighting is terrible and all of that. But yeah, but we'll soldier on through and we'll be fine. How are you doing today, Arian?
I'm great. Yeah, I was wondering. I saw the different background and it hadn't even occurred to me to ask about it yet. But yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm in a different place entirely.
yeah, nice.
Yeah. So, wow, we've got a bunch of people here. So, Piece of Keto, awesome to see you. Wow, you are here in Ann Arbor as well. So cool. And let's see. Hey, Large Picture, good to see you. Hey, Delisa, welcome. And wow, you really enjoyed the Shun video as well. That's awesome. And Meat Based Musings. Hey, Stephanie, it's great to see you. Oh, you've changed your name. That's awesome. Yeah, it's good to see you. And Dark Chris, or Chris, it's good to see you. So, how was your Thanksgiving, Arian?
Um, it was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Just me and my parents, and we ate and talked like
Mm-hmm.
all day. Like I didn't leave until like 12, so it was a real good time.
Nice. Excellent. So you ate and talked all day long.
Yeah, mostly
Nice.
the talking, the eating, there's no possible way. And it was like the meats were turkey and ham, and you can only eat so much turkey before you get bored of it.
Mm-hmm.
So like I went back for seconds on the ham, and then I was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that sounds
How about
good.
yours?
Yeah. Mine was boring, and I kept it to scallops and chuck roast, so nothing particularly interesting. But I saw some really inventive and creative concoctions by so many of you guys in the Black Carnivore community. So I would love to hear if you could type in the chat in the comments section what kind of stuff you made. I know I saw like pork belly. I saw some different kinds of stuffing, carnivore stuffing. I saw prime rib roast. No, is it standing
Nice.
rib roast? Yeah, yeah, that's super fancy stuff. Yeah. So I definitely saw some good stuff. So tell us what you made, and so we can be jealous. I stopped at a Whole Foods here in Ann Arbor, and I picked up. They had on sale flank and cut short ribs, so I bought several pounds worth, and that was awesome. So I'll be having that for a couple of days, and some chuck roast for a couple of days, and yeah, we'll see. And I'll make something to keep with me on the ride home, and that's it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I bought some lamb shanks. Those were all on sale, so I'm probably gonna
Uh-huh.
cook those tonight or tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. And I picked up some AHA water. So I have not had sparkling flavored water in a long time. This is blueberry pomegranate. And I actually saw a commercial for this on TV the other day. So that's kind of funny. But I went into a rest stop and I was like, oh, I just want some water or some sparkling water. And they had none that was just plain or
Hmm.
just regular. Yeah, it was this and bubbly. And that was it. And the bubbly was like, I don't know, strawberry, berry, bubblicious or something. I don't know. But nothing, no plain seltzer. And I was like, wow, this is really different from New York, where you've got like multiple brands and multiple kinds of plain seltzer, as well
Hmm.
as the other flavors. So, yeah, tells you the people aren't really drinking it. Not on the Ohio Turnpike.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. How are you
Mm-hmm.
liking the flavor? Because
Mm.
I kind of only like the plain or lemon flavor.
Yeah, not, not loving it. I'm
Yeah.
thirsty, so, you know, but yeah, this is not my thing anymore. I don't know. I don't know what happened to my tongue, but it's not my thing anymore. And plus, when I get the flavored seltzer, like it tastes awful with salt in it. So,
Hmm.
it doesn't work with the electrolytes either. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's for me, it's because that whatever the flavor is, it never tastes exactly like that thing.
Mhm.
It's always like it feels like some chemical approximation of it, which is really what it is.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't do it for me. I've tried a bunch of those, and they'll be like, even if I taste them and I like them, it's only for like a day, and then I'm tired of
Mhm.
them, and I don't want to drink the rest of the case that I bought.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree. I'm with you there. Um, Stephanie says Midwestern living. Yeah. That's how it is, I guess. But yeah, there was all kinds of other junk to have, and and I it was funny because like on the road, it's a 10-hour, well, it was a 10-hour drive, but it ended up being much longer than that for me. And that was one of the things I really liked about road trips is like stopping at all the, junk food places and having, candy and stuff like that as I'm driving and having lots of coffee. And like this time around, I'm not doing any of that. So it was kind of like I'd see places that I'd be like, "Oh man, I used to get this from there and that from there." And then it's just like, well, I guess I'm gonna keep going. But it was surprising. I guess after all this time, the cravings, I mean, it was more like a mental thought, but there wasn't like a physical, drive or craving. It wasn't like painful to say no.
Hmm,
So, so
that's
that's
good.
new. Yeah, that was new for me and that was really good. But it was kind of a terrifying ride because by the time I hit Western Pennsylvania, it was like it was dark and it started pouring rain and I really could not see. And then like I think the windshield wipers in the car were messed up and so it was just, it was frightening. So finally I was like, I gotta get off the road. And so I eventually got, a hotel, but so the whole trip ended up taking, much longer than I was expecting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I wouldn't want to drive at night in the rain.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah, with a ton of trucks that were all like barreling down the road. And like, I guess you don't worry about rain, huh, on the road in your like
No.
two several ton trucks. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I
Uh,
guess they're used to that. And
yeah.
then yeah, on a road trip, if you're not eating the junk, I guess so. The one thing I do now is I'll experiment with different kinds of jerky on the road.
Hmm.
Like if I haven't brought my own, then I'm gonna need something to eat for this trip to, even if it's a lot of times just to keep me awake, I need something to eat,
Hmm.
or I get too
Yeah.
bored and start getting sleepy on the road. I tried some Tillamook, I think was the name. It comes in like a yellow
Mm-hmm.
bag jerky, and it actually doesn't have all the added sugar that most
Hmm.
jerky has.
Hmm.
Wasn't a fan though.
No.
So it it tasted weird. Like whatever they had done to it, they had done something to it though. Even though they didn't add all the like
Yeah.
marinated and teriyaki sauce or something, it still
Hmm.
was.
Yeah.
And I thought about it and I said, I make my own jerky. I know what plain meat can taste like. Somehow this
Hmm.
wasn't that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it was preservatives.
I don't know. Maybe it's just how much they cook it too, because I notice like I've had People's Choice jerky, and that is one of the very few that has no sugar added, and
Hmm.
it just is like dry as a bone. And I think that they dehydrate it more, because I
Hmm.
start picking at mine when it's like barely done. So and I think that's just, because they dehydrated all the way.
That could be it. Yeah,
Hmm.
because I don't like really, really. I'll eat really, really dry jerky, but I don't. It's not my favorite. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
it when there's more.
Yeah.
There's still
Yeah.
some moisture in it, especially in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah. And with the fat. So,
Yeah,
yeah. So, everybody, let's dive actually into talking about this week's video. So, I'd love for you to to write in the chat, like, how many of you watched this week's video, and I'd love to hear what you thought. It was, I was really excited to have this opportunity to talk to Shun, who is actually a nurse, and has really become really become very active, or concerned about sugar, and become an activist in the way that she approaches it. And I thought that was just really cool, and I would love to hear what everybody else thought. um, and yeah, let's see. Oh, I see. Chris made brisket for Friendsgiving and they loved it. Oh, awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Um,
nice.
so Chris says there's a zero sugar jerky that I found and enjoy, but I want to learn to make my own. Oh, Country Archer was the brand. Country Archer, isn't that a Target brand? I think
Is
it
it?
is. Yeah, that's awesome. So Target, all right. Good job. I mean, I
Okay.
know that they make I feel like Country Archer is the brand that makes that they they have like nuts and different mixed nuts and flavored nuts mix. So, uh that they would have a sugar-free jerky is awesome.
Yeah, and it kind of makes sense
Yeah.
if that's what that brand is about. I have to
Yeah.
keep on the lookout for that Country Archer.
Yeah. Um, and Stephanie says homemade jerky and soda streams have ruined the two of us.
Yeah,
Yeah. We are just
homemade jerky.
a bit too particular about our needs now. And I know it is terrible. Yes, I feel like just a little bit difficult. And I forgot to buy any sparkling water at Whole Foods today, so I'm just, I'm tap water now. So we'll see how that goes. It's been a
Yeah,
while. Oh, okay. Chris says they have it at Wegmans and Whole Foods, but never found it at Target. Huh. Interesting. Um,
okay. Two stores
eh,
I'm never in.
really? Huh.
Yeah, they're both like super expensive.
Well, of course. Where are you going to find sugar-free products except in the super expensive store?
Right. Yeah.
Hmm. So let's see. R. Jones says, I have not had a chance to finish the video, but have been looking into this a bit on my own. Sugar was key to the settlement of the US and continues to be included in many products. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I feel like it's interesting if you look back over history. I mean, most of the products that um, made millionaires, that defined economies were, these drugs essentially, tea, coffee, tobacco, sugar, um,
Yeah.
all used slave labor and, all destroyed people, lives, communities. So that's what drugs will do to you. And we do it over and over and over again. And, I had asked a question during the interview that, I mean, Shun didn't know, but I really, something that I want to keep thinking about is, is sugar being used, weaponized against us? I feel like, to a certain extent, I mean, surely, it's just a capitalist function to, look for ways to make money with sugar. And the best way is to make products that people have to keep buying over and over again. So making, addictive drugs. But
Hmm.
I feel like I, there's something so particular and so focused about it that makes you wonder if it's not, if like black people are certainly targeted. We're targeted in different ways with tobacco products, with alcohol in the community. So, why are we being more targeted for sugar as well? I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to tease out, I guess, and to an extent, I wonder if it's even important to say if it's about the economics or if it's about us specifically, because either way, it ends up being us specifically,
Mhm.
um, that are targeted with this food that isn't food, has no nutritional value, and actually
Mhm.
harms us.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, because I think like I mean, if you think about it, like there were, I don't know, the way cities were zoned, that you'd end up in black communities, you would have like tons of liquor stores on every block. And you wouldn't have supermarkets in black communities. And so, it would kind of force people into certain kinds of behavior just because of what's available. And and some of that was intentional. I mean, um yeah, I mean, like, if you think about redlining, that was like an intentional way of changing neighborhoods or destroying neighborhoods. So why not also essentially starve neighborhoods of real food and to accomplish the same thing?
The same thing being the oppression of those people.
Well, the destruction of the neighborhood, or make people leave neighborhoods, not providing investment into neighborhoods. I mean, that's what redlining did. So,
Mhm. Yeah, it just it makes sense to me that that
hmm
would be one of the weapons, um, would be the keeping resources away, which are in this case the
hmm
supermarkets, and then also the things that you do give them instead, the things that you sell to them are addictive. It's basically, yeah, it's like drugs. It's like the
hmm
hard drugs.
hmm
Like you target those communities with hard drugs. You also target them with junk food that is a drug.
hmm Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I it was helpful to kind of think about it that way, because I want to look at I don't want to look at sugar as sort of an innocuous thing, um, or what's happening today as something that is just, sort of an unfortunate byproduct of capitalism. Like, this is a real assault on our community, on our bodies, and on who we are. And as we have seen, or as we've discussed with different doctors, for whatever reason, Black people seem to have a much worse out, well, outcome, I guess, of having an excess amount of sugar. So, we end up with amputations and other problems and complications from diabetes faster than the white population. So, it is especially deadly for us, all the sugar. And I hate to think, like, for me, I hate to think that, what my ancestors died for, I'm just enslaved by, and can't really, can't really maximize my, our current freedoms, such as they are, because, I am like too tired, too obese, or whatever it is.
Yeah. So then it's like we have a responsibility, once you realize what's happening, to get yourself out of that cycle
Hmm.
and to do better, and then to do what you're doing, which is, and what Shun is doing, is to educate the people around you so that they can do better. Like, I really do look at nutrition as one of the empo- one of the empowering, one of the areas where we can empower ourselves. Like, if we can
Hmm.
extract ourselves from the racist medical system and the racist food system as much as we can, we are taking back our power by doing so.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what we're trying to do here. Everybody who's watching, that's what we're trying to do here at the Black Carnivore community, is to give you back your power and to help you extricate yourself from the medical system, from the pharmaceutical industry. It is, it's just kind of stunning how, wrapped up we are. And, something that I've been doing the last couple of weeks is, looking a lot more at the literature on addiction and e- and food addiction particularly, and it's pretty interesting. I didn't realize, like, I thought of myself as someone addicted to sugar, but I didn't realize the full scope and scale of sugar addiction and food addiction. Because you can also have like a process addiction to eating, just the way that you might to gambling or to other behaviors that affect your dopamine or your reward system. And so
Hmm.
I've been reading about that, and it's really interesting. And actually, I was thinking about, for those of you who are, part of the community who have been, we've been talking about sugar addiction. And I know that, carnivore is really awesome because it does allow you an option to cut out all of those sugars. But there is still like the issue of the addiction to the process of eating, which is also a thing. Um, which I think may be a challenge for some people, and I think also for a lot of people. I hear people do well and then they fall off of carnivore, and they do well and they fall off, and I think partly that has to do with maybe not fully accepting what sugar is, that it is a drug and that it is, negatively impacting us. And I think, well, before have some more tangents that I want to run off on. But so anyway, I think what I'd like to do is, maybe have a Zoom call one day with, everyone who feels like, they're in this world, this Zoom, this sugar addiction world, and kind of talk about that, what it means, what it feels like, what you're struggling with. Because I feel like we maybe need a little bit more support there. And, and this is like a group effort, blind leading the blind. I have no, further like, skill or ability there. But I think it's something that we need to talk about, because it is, I see people struggling, continuing to have the same struggle, and we get it that, there's a problem here, but still are having difficulty kind of extricating from the drug. So I think that's worth talking about.
I think so. I would agree with that. And it's definitely, I can't remember if I talked about this on one of these or not, but
Hmm.
when I had fallen off for a little while recently, it I realized just how much it feels like an addiction. I think it
Hmm.
was easier the first time because my body was going through so much pain that just whatever I needed to cut, I was going to do it. Um,
Hmm.
and I wasn't, at that point, I wasn't eating anything.
Hmm.
So it was easy to go from nothing to meat. Um, this most recent time though, like I really like felt the cravings and felt
Hmm.
like this random impulse to go eat some sugar. Like, no,
Hmm.
why am I doing this? Why do I have this desire? And I had to fight against it. It like
Hmm.
really felt like a fight inside me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I think a lot of people are dealing with that. And yeah, we have to, I agree. We have to accept that it's not, accept the reality that sugar is not some like harmless thing, and it's not something that just like you are playing with fire every time you
Hmm.
consume some.
Yeah.
And that would be probably okay if this were thousands of years ago and the only sugar that you could even obtain was some sugar cane
Hmm.
every once in a while or some fruit. But and those fruits like thousands of years ago also were not nearly as sweet as the fruits that we have now.
Hmm. Well, I see
It's a different story.
Shun is in the chat. So
Oh, awesome.
she says yes, we do need something like that. So Shun, I don't know if you would be willing to be on that call, but I would love it because I think we do need something like that. Just a way to talk about it and to learn. One thing I learned from the podcast this particular podcast I was listening to was that when you see your drug of choice or the paraphernalia related to your drug of choice, your brain lets out a little blip of dopamine, which then starts that whole craving process. And
Mm,
um, and I was like, man, but we see our stuff all the time. I mean, commercials, ads, smelling stuff, seeing other people eating, like you have to deal with that all day long. So it's no wonder that this is so, so hard. And without knowing that and understanding that and kind of understanding, the process to get through that, it can seem like overwhelming and impossible.
yeah. I used to talk about that in the Zooms. It's it's harder because you don't get to this quit sugar and then walk away from it like
Hmm.
we are constantly bombarded with images that are designed to get us eating sugar again.
Yeah, yeah,
The influence is always there.
yeah. And I feel like, we're being told, like, by all these companies, oh, it's your fault. Like, there's nothing harmful about this stuff. Just limit your calories or limit how much of this stuff you have. Um, but it's like, we're up against, like, you know, billions of dollars of investment in marketing and product, production and all of that. And so it's like, really, I'm expected to like go up against Nabisco and say, no, I don't need any more. I don't want any more. Really? It's not fair.
Yeah, yeah. You are fighting against an entire system.
Hmm. Yeah. So Stephanie says, I'm not sure we think sugar is harmless. When I started smoking, I knew it was bad for me and still did it. Well, yeah. Um, I think that is a fair point, except um, I think that the word about sugar being harmful is barely getting out there right now. When I started smoking cigarettes in the 80s, it was I mean, the tobacco companies had put in a lot of work to confuse the issue and make people think it wasn't unhealthy, but it was starting to be
Hmm.
discussed as something unhealthy, but still a big chunk of people did it. So I think now when you start smoking, but I don't know that you always knew. I don't think people always knew that smoking was bad for you.
Right.
So I'm not sure that that compares. And for now, I mean, we're constantly getting messages that sugar is okay. And this was why I had asked Shun, like, what is sugar? Because I think I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh yeah, sugar is really bad. I don't have any." Meanwhile, they're pouring agave all over their oatmeal and, adding dates and, and eating like a sandwich on whole wheat bread. And it's like all of this is sugar, but no, people don't know that. So I think, I think we also have to think about that.
Yeah, and I would say that I think more people now know that sugar is not harmless, and they know that they need to get away from it. But I think there's a good number of people who don't really realize that, or they think it's a too much sugar type of thing. Not that like all sugar is pushing you towards
Hmm.
that. It's trying to push you off that cliff all the time.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, like definitely when I was growing up, I had no idea. I knew all these things were sweet. I knew that juice was sweet. My mom had juice all the time. We eventually stopped drinking soda, but for a while, soda was big in our house.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
didn't know. We had no idea that any of those things were bad. And like we stopped drinking soda not because of the sugar, but we thought like the carbonation was the bad part of it.
Well, we stopped drinking Kool-Aid because of the sugar, but juice was a healthier choice.
Because
Um,
yeah, juice is
yeah,
healthy. It comes
right,
from fruit.
right. My mom limited the juice, but just because it was expensive and I could drink a lot of it. So that's why
Hmm.
I didn't get much of that. I didn't get like the Sunny D and the Capri and all those kind of drinks either, which I was endlessly upset about as a kid. Yeah. My grandmother used to keep cans of Hawaiian punch, and I was like, yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
We had yeah, we had Kool-Aid and like
Hmm.
the drink stuff, Sunny D, and then
Hmm.
eventually we switched that to what felt like real juice, Minute Maid, which is like
Yeah.
still from
Yeah.
concentrate.
Yeah.
There's maybe 10% juice in it, but like yeah, we never moved to 100% juice. And
Hmm.
even the Minute Maid was so much more expensive than the big
Hmm.
gallon or jug of Sunny D that we used to have.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and it's just, sugar. It's just not carbonated. So,
Right.
no, not a big difference. But Erica Erican says, I can't stay away from the Ludens and soda, which I'm drinking more of since becoming carnivore. So I'm going to assume you mean diet soda since going carnivore. Because
Right.
it would be hard to be, it would be hard to be carnivore and drinking, 2 liters of Coke or whatever. Um, and then the Ludens, I
Oh.
assume you mean cough drops, like those Ludens,
I
or
I just looked it up. Apparently, that was the first result was
what?
cough drops.
Okay. So I think the artificial sweetener is something that is important to talk about. So I don't think that it is a helpful thing to include in your program, but people do, and they have success, and they're fine. So if you're one of those people, great. But if you're not, or if you find that you're still struggling with cravings, take it all out. I think the littlest amount is going to keep this ginormous roaring lion, in your pantry. But once you take it out, all of that goes quiet. So I really would consider that. And there'll be a couple of days where, you're just like rocking in a corner like the addict that you are,
Right.
trying to come
Yeah.
off.
Pookie on New Jack
And
City. Yeah.
yeah, and you just go through that withdrawal, and then once you're through, it's over. I mean, and don't, God forbid, don't start it again. But yeah, there is withdrawal. Like, these foods that we're talking about do affect us like drugs, and there is withdrawal, um, and it can be really uncomfortable. But I think that I feel like that is the source of a lot of people, people who struggle with this. That's the source of a lot of their problems.
Yeah. Um, I feel the same way. I am very much against the diet stuff, the artificial sweeteners. And some of that's my personal bias. Like they don't
Hmm.
agree with me, pretty much any of them. Like
Hmm.
they either taste nasty, they give me stomach aches, or they give me headaches. They all fall in one of those three categories. I've yet to
Hmm.
find one that actually suffices to replace sugar, without causing some other sort of harm somewhere. So,
Hmm.
and from a natural food standpoint, from like I guess a carnivore, a primal carnivore standpoint, there's no place for an artificial sweetener of any kind.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, okay. So Shun says jungle juice. I, I remember jungle juice too. In New York, well, if it's what I'm thinking about, in New York, they used to walk around on the beaches in the summer selling jungle juice and something else, which is just like basically every alcohol mixed with
Oh, okay.
something sweet. Um,
Oh, yeah, that's our
yeah,
my college days. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, Erica says she's drinking regular soda. Okay, so that does not work. You're gonna have a really hard time making progress because that's a lot of sugar. Even if it's just one, it's a sugar bomb is really what it is. And so the
Yeah.
benefits, I think that a significant portion of the benefits that come from the carnivore diet, one, come from being in ketosis, and then two, come from what we are not eating, and so not being harmed by oxalates and phytates and lectins and all of that kind of stuff. But you're not getting part one because you're not in ketosis. I mean, there's a certain amount of sugar that you can consume or carbs you can consume in a day and still be in ketosis. But I find it hard to imagine how, even if you're having one soda a day, one can of soda a day, I still think that that's enough sugar to keep you from getting into ketosis. So it's good that you're eating nutrient dense meat, but you're not getting you're not getting, 50% of the benefit that comes from following a carnivore diet.
Yeah.
So you gotta get off the sugar. I know it's going to be hard, but you're gonna feel so different once you actually do it. Um, and it may take a couple of days to 2 weeks, but you got to hang in there, and you can do it. You can definitely do it.
Yeah. I think what what helps is to really accept that this is going to be a withdrawal situation. You are not going to feel good for a little while. Um, you are doing something for your health that is difficult.
Hmm.
And so give yourself the space to not feel good
Hmm.
because you are not going to. Like
Yeah.
Dark Chris said, a 12-ounce can of soda has like 40 plus grams of carbs. And I don't remember the exact numbers, but that sounds right. That's a lot of sugar that you're used to consuming that you're then going to kick.
Hmm.
It's not going to feel good.
Yeah. And that's what I would tell people too when they would start keto. Like, don't start on Monday morning when you have like exams that week or a massive presentation. I mean,
Mhm.
recognize that you're not going to feel great. And so give yourself the space to take naps and to lay down and to, be in a bad mood. Like, don't do this when you've got something key and critical happening. Yeah.
Yep.
So Chris says, talking about withdrawals, I've been having mad headaches and congestion after cutting out coffee. I am so sorry to hear that. You got to take the L-tyrosine. That is the way to at least not have the headaches with the caffeine withdrawal. So, go to Vitamin Shop or Amazon or wherever. You can go to my Amazon store. There's links and get the L-tyrosine. It's like, I don't know, $10 for a big bottle, and you just, you only need a few, and then boom, you're done. So,
Mm.
but if you
Nice.
order it from Amazon, by the time you get it, you'll already be over the caffeine withdrawals. So this is for next time, if there is a next time.
Yeah, I have had the coffee headaches before. Not fun.
Yeah,
I didn't get congested though. I haven't heard of that as a withdrawal symptom. Is that normal?
I don't know. I think a lot of things can happen. So I wouldn't be surprised. Let's see. Delisa says I had to start with replacing soda with flavored sparkling water. I had to be strict with myself. Cold turkey, as Ade said, expect the withdrawal. Um, yeah, and that's what the same thing that Shun said. Sugar mode off says try switching to switching regular soda with non-flavored carbonated water. Sometimes the carbonation works better. Yeah. So Paulette says never like the diet drinks and decaf coffee or teas. Every once in a while, I do enjoy Canada Dry ginger ale, 39 grams of total sugar. Wow, there are some soda lovers here. Like, what?
Right.
I did not know this.
She remembers the exact number.
All
39
right.
grams. Exactly.
Okay. Okay. Um, yeah.
I, ginger ale is great. I can't deny that.
Okay, so B. Alexander, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. And everybody, the super chats really help us to, to keep doing this and to keep providing this content. I really want to create a great community for us that allows us to get off sugar and to live our best lives. And that's why we do this. So when you make your contributions, it is super, super helpful. So thank you.
Thank
Anyway,
you.
B. Alexander says, good evening, Ade and Arian. A question. I am getting intense cravings of sugar after eating a carnivore meal. Angus patties. Any suggestions? I think that is entirely normal. That's called withdrawal, you know.
I'd say, yeah, depending on how long you've been carnivore, it could just be withdrawal. It also could be um, a need for more salt that you just don't really recognize, you're not used to yet. Your body's just craving, it's giving you the craving for something, and you don't really, I can't think of the way to explain it. Okay, so I'll say it this
Well,
way. The
mhm,
last time I had a random sugar craving, I just ate actual food with enough salt, and I was completely happy afterwards.
mhm. Yeah, I think that it can be a sign of a need for more energy. So, I mean, sugar is a source of energy, and for our bodies, it's a quick source of energy, and so is fat. Um, and so, if you haven't eaten enough fat, which a lot of us end up doing, and so that it can be a problem. If you're not eating enough fat, you're going to get a craving for sugar because you need energy. I mean, your body needs a certain amount of energy just to operate, and so it's going to send you cravings if you are not providing it with energy. So
Mm,
that can happen. I think a lot of people think of hamburgers as really fatty, and I think that they are not. So unless you are capturing all the fat that renders out of the ground beef that you're cooking and you're consuming all of it, you're losing a lot of your
I broke her. I broke her.
um, so you're losing a lot of the fat that you're supposed to be that you think that you're eating. So you've been told
Mhm.
all your life that hamburgers are super fatty, but that is not true. And if you're grilling them, you've lost all that fat. You have lost it
Yeah.
all. So that you might just not be eating enough fat, and that's why you're getting that. So if you made some kind of, aioli or baconaise or, butter dipping sauce, and you ate that burger, dipping with each bite into that fatty, thing, and you ate that, I would think you might not have that craving afterwards.
Yeah. Especially to be craving sugar after that. It also may be um, that your body is used to, and I say your body, you as a whole human being, body, mind,
Mhm.
everything, you're used to having sweet after a full meal.
Mhm.
It could be that. It could just be a craving for dessert.
Mhm. Yeah. So if you're early on in your carnivore journey, I think that's normal and you should just ignore it. And the other thing that I learned too from these explorations into addiction was that in the first 30 days, you're crazy. Your brain is you're going through this whole detox thing. You cannot trust your emotions, you cannot trust your mind, you cannot trust anything. So don't listen to any of it. Just stay the course, have a plan, stay the course. And by day
Yeah.
30, you can then start saying, gee, why am I having this craving? But that craving, if it's day 14 and you're having that craving after a steak, just, just don't listen. It's just the addiction, just trying to
Yep.
get you back in. And there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong.
That's, I think, recognizing it as addiction, you can then say, you can separate yourself from it and say, this isn't
Hmm.
a feeling that I'm having because my body actually needs some sugar.
Hmm.
It's just there's a part of me that wants that stuff, especially like like we know that there are the bacteria that are living in our gut that eat
Hmm.
sugary foods are going to release chemicals or whatever, but
Hmm.
they're going to make you crave sugar.
That's
Like
right.
that's a thing that happens. You can recognize that as separate from yourself and say that, okay, I want this stuff, or I think I want this stuff. I'm not going to feed into that.
Yeah, and that may be part of that withdrawal process. These bacteria are dying. They're not getting their food. They are sending out death throes. They're like, no,
Right.
we will not go down without a fight. If we go, you go, we all go.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are
Yeah.
pissed off at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Chris says burgers on a cast iron skillet is my favorite way to cook them. There's a bit of grease splatter though. A bit. There's a lot.
Well,
That is still the challenge that I have. So yeah, still there is a lot. And
yeah, get
Shun
one of those
says,
things,
yeah, the
the things to
mesh.
sit on top of the pan.
Yeah, I have that. I feel like it makes the meat steam though, because it acts like a lid. It doesn't let as much air through as I would like.
Hmm.
So I don't know. But let's see. Sugar Mode Off says also start checking the labels on everything. They sneak sugar in meats all the time. I know. So I was
Yeah,
like, I remember on Reddit, somebody had posted a picture. This was a couple of years ago. They bought ground beef at a major supermarket chain in the Netherlands, and it was beef and wheat. And it was like, and it was just a package of ground beef. So it's like, why? How is there wheat in here? Why? Why? Other than to put, add weight to it and, save money.
yeah, that's what that sounds like. Either to save money or to make that meat a little bit more addictive.
Yeah,
That's awful. That makes
yeah,
me want to fight someone.
yeah. And I tell you, I don't know that I can trust that that's not happening here. I mean, I feel like we have pretty strict laws about labeling, but shit happens. I don't know. So I kind of feel like if you have been eating some ground beef and you're not feeling great about it, or you're not feeling great after you eat it, I don't know. I mean, there are definitely people that say that they don't do as well on ground beef. It's been blamed on histamines, but who's to say that it's not like IHOP making, scrambled eggs with pancake batter? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't. And, when you get a log of, you know, ground beef from like the Walmart, like, that just doesn't, I mean, just as a marketing or a packaging thing, like, it just doesn't make me, feel great trust. Um, I don't know.
No, that makes sense. That there's kind of, and this can be exploited. Like we don't necessarily always you can't trust the packaging and just say like, well, because this thing looks this way that I know it has these qualities. But there is that feeling of what feels like real food um as you look at it, as you pick it up, versus something that feels more manufactured and
Hmm.
marketed to you. Whereas like I feel like, so one of the things I love about meat, and this goes with just my general personality, is meat stands on its own. It doesn't need marketing. Like I was at the grocery store, was it? Yeah, this was yesterday, and they had New York strip steaks. They just looked
Hmm.
good as steaks. There was
Hmm.
nothing special about them. They're in the stupid uh, styrofoam package, which I really wish we could get away from styrofoam for everything. But at least I'm using way less of it now than I used to. But it's just that and the shrink wrap. That's it. Versus like, yeah, when the ground beef, you can't look at it from the outside because it's in a totally covered package. There's nothing clear about it. You wonder, like, it looks less real.
Hmm.
It looks like they could be hiding something in there.
Yeah. 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 So I don't know. That's something to think about, something to consider. Um, let's see. Sugar Mode Off says also preservatives and certain oils trigger cravings.
Yeah, yeah, I could
So
see
pretty
that.
much anything that is not a real whole food can trigger cravings and be a problem.
Right. It's almost as if like our food should be as simple as possible
Yeah.
all the time.
Well, and that's
So,
what I think a carnivore diet is, and that's how it excels over a keto diet. I mean, when I started keto, I was doing a strict whole foods keto. So, there wasn't a lot of products in it. But now there's so many products that you can't just go keto and think that you're necessarily doing something healthy. But on a carnivore diet, it's hard to build a diet that is not full of whole foods. I suppose it's possible. Like I wouldn't, I don't, I think that, certain things like pepperoni and deli meats and stuff like that are
mhm.
acceptable for, extreme situations, but they are not what you should build, your day's food out of. And so, there are a few things that are kind of like, you know, carnivore junk food. But and you should definitely slow your roll on the pork rinds. But there's not a ton of those types of foods. And so, we are essentially eating whole foods and we're eating whole fats, which I don't think anybody else is really doing. And there's great value in eating the whole unprocessed natural fat, not in liquid form, not processed form. And remember that butter too is processed, but the actual piece of fat that's attached to the meat, that is the unprocessed natural fat that is going to really provide you with the healing that you're looking for.
Right. Yeah. So if you thought about food that way, if you're eating mostly, especially if you're down that path of like roast and steaks are your main two things that you're eating, that's as little processing as you can possibly get. That
Hmm.
is literally, take the animal, drain it, cut it up, put it in a package. That's it. Um, Ground beef is more processed than that. It's been ground up, but it's still the same things went into it.
Mm-hmm.
as long as your ground beef doesn't have additives in it, which
Mm-hmm.
you do have to be careful for. But that's why I like I get worried sometimes that meat doesn't have a label. There's no ingredients to read, but
Mm-hmm.
it's also for the most part there's not even a purpose to the label
Right.
put on, but what it say on there. Like I love the but I do like when I get the packaged ground beef patties that they do just say like ingredients and it's just ground beef.
Well, I think that that label is important for like chicken and stuff that is brined or it is
Yeah.
injected with water, but it's not just water, it's usually like soy or, some kind of thing. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel torn, they're really it is there's really some meats that we do need to stay away from.
Yeah. Yeah, for the
Yeah.
most part, if I'm eating chicken, it's because someone else cooked it. In fact, yeah, that's only I haven't cooked chicken myself in years
Hmm.
now, and I haven't had any desire to.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I would want, if anything, if there's any hint of flavor in the food, I want a label. I want something to tell me exactly what's in there, and I can make the decision if I want to make that compromise or not.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, soy is a big deal. I'm allergic to soy, and so that really matters. For other people, maybe and not so much, but um, yeah, that is
Yeah,
really important.
yeah, and I am very happy with how I look now. I am not trying to get moves. I don't want soy adding to my estrogen levels unnecessarily. No
Yeah.
soy at all. Like Stephanie mentioned soy and textured vegetable protein. Like that's
Hmm.
why I stopped buying most lunch meat
Hmm.
because you'll get a package of ground beef, and the second ingredient, or not ground beef, of roast beef, and the second ingredient is soy protein. It
Mm.
says roast beef on the package. I'm buying lunch meat. It should just be meat. And no, there's a so-called vegetable additive in it.
Hmm.
Probably
So
just so they can up the protein number.
yeah, and I feel like I definitely feel like when I eat, I definitely think of pepperoni as like my carnivore candy. And when I eat it, I definitely have more cravings for more of it. So, it is a struggle for me, and I really wonder. I guess Shun is right. Like, there's certain things and certain additives and preservatives that are going to kick up cravings and hunger, and I think they do that for me. So, I have my pepperoni and like I want more and more and more.
Hmm. And then the pepperoni you get, does it have some sugar in it? Because most processed meat has some small amount of sugar.
Yes. And I
Yeah.
have been saying it's fine and cured meat, sugar is necessary as part of the process and it feeds the bacteria and blah blah blah. And I think, that might be true for like the fancy stuff that they made the same way 500 years ago in France, and you're getting that same one. But, for Hormel, that I don't think that's what they're doing when they make
No.
their pepperoni. So, I don't know. But I definitely notice a difference in how I feel after eating it. So, that is the most important thing. If you observe your behavior and how you feel after you eat something, that is the strongest piece of evidence that you have.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I wonder. Because I'll go a while without any processed meat at all. But like now I have sausage. I have two different kinds of sausage between my fridge and my freezer, and I have some salami. And yeah, I'm gonna see if I how I'm feeling now, like as I eat this stuff.
Hmm. Yeah. So Erica Erican says Kroger's Simple Truth brand meats has none of the additives. Um,
Nice.
yeah, I hope so. But I think that's what we're saying is that, these brands don't list or don't have to list some of the things. Like, because you don't really see on chicken that's been injected with water or with brine, it doesn't say that.
Mm.
You just know that that's happened with some chicken or maybe all of it. And partly just to make it heavier. So when you weigh it, you're spending more. So, so I don't know. You take it all with a grain of salt. Like, I don't know that you can believe any of this stuff. And then, of course, you saw that company, Bel Campo, which is supposed to be super fancy, selling the super fancy regenerative pastured meat. Also, one of their staff members, made a secret video showing them, buying beef or meat from the same source that supplied like Stop and Shop and Ralph's and other grocery stores, and putting their own label on it and selling it as as like grass fed pastured regenerative meat. And so
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. The label guarantees you anything. I don't have a problem with eating, the meat that is supplied to those grocery stores, but I do have a problem paying 5 times as much for it. But yeah,
Right. I would
but
not be happy about that at all.
no,
Like y'all owe me 4/5 of my money back.
yeah, or 4/5 more meat. Like, I would
Right.
accept that. Yeah,
That would work.
yeah, yeah. So, anyway, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't want to make everybody feel, just like you don't know. I, I think that you just got to pay attention to how your body feels, because your body is going to always speak to you truthfully. Uh, I mean, beyond that 30-day withdrawal period from the drugs. But after that,
Right.
it speaks to you truthfully. So if you don't feel good with something, don't eat it. If you feel good eating something, then it's fine. And that's more important than what anybody else is going to say to you. But don't assume. But I would just, not assume anything is good or not good. You have to see. You have to see and trust your body.
Yeah. I would say, like we've talked about trusting your body before, and there being that one caveat in there, which is your body might be under the influence of sugar at that time, in which case
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
probably going to lie to you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
which is why I feel like as carnivores, you need some amount of education
Yeah.
into body chemistry or
Hmm.
physiology or however to term it, that you're never going to have a legit craving for sugar. Like there is never a time where you need sugar. You may want it, but you never need it. Like that's a craving that you can always just say, nope, nope, nope. This is somebody is lying to me. I don't know who, but
Yeah.
somebody's lying.
Yeah, I love that you bring that up. And one thing I used to notice, especially like when I in the early days of keto, on a hot day, I'd be walking a lot in the park and I'd be really thirsty, and I would see like somebody selling chopped up little bags of pineapple and watermelon and juices and stuff. And I'd think, oh, that's exactly what I need. And like my whole body would be having this huge craving. And then I think, I'm just thirsty. Like, that's all that's
Hmm.
happening here is I'm thirsty. And then I would drink something and have some salt. And then it was like, oh, why did I think I wanted like this? I don't even
Yep.
like pineapple. Like, why am I doing this? So, it is, yeah, it could be a lot of things going on. So don't feel compelled and tied to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot happening, especially as you're transitioning. Like we said,
Mm,
you've got things dying off and saying, no, we want more of this. We haven't been fed in a while. I'm not happy about this at all.
yeah. Yeah. I can't
You're
believe how many
withdrawing.
times I tried to do intuitive eating, and I love the concept. I think, we absolutely should be letting our bodies define, what we eat, but when you're under the um when you're under the spell of sugar, like you can't do intuitive eating because all it's you're going to end up with is your body is intuitively craving, 2 pounds of peanut M&Ms, and that's
Right.
where you're always going to land. And that's never true. That's never the correct place.
Right. Every half hour, my body intuitively wants some
Yeah,
candy.
yeah. And actually, you remember, so cigarettes were designed that way. They were designed with enough nicotine so that you would have a craving um, about every what is it, like 20 to 30 minutes. And most that's why cigarettes were sold in packs of 20, because most people would end up smoking about 20 cigarettes a day, given the amount of time that we're awake and able to smoke, and the cravings would come at a certain predictable period. So I think that, we should be thinking about candy that way. I mean, it's sort of designed to have a craving so many times. So, yes, in fact, every half hour you could have that happen to you. That your
I had no
body's like,
idea.
I need more. Yes, I need more M&Ms.
You learn something every day.
Yeah. And remember that these candy companies have been bought by the tobacco companies. So they know something about how to
Hmm.
package an addiction as effectively as possible, and
Oh
build up
yeah,
a loyal following. So, I don't know. I don't know what the ideal size of M&M packages is. I mean, I think that king size package has now become the norm, not the small. So,
I've noticed that. Yeah, like
mhm.
it's either the king or the middle size packages are now more prevalent.
Is there middle
Like
size? I thought there was
I
only.
I feel like
Oh, okay.
so there used to be so I'm thinking of there would be a package that would be about this biggish, and
Mm-hmm.
then there was one that was about that size, but it
Mm-hmm.
was deeper. So
Hmm.
it felt like there was like 1.5 times as much candy in there. And then there's the king size that was like to a
Mm-hmm.
kid looked humongous.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like those middle-sized packages I see more often, the ones that are they look about the same, but if you're paying attention, you can tell that they're bigger.
Mm-hmm.
That it wouldn't surprise me if those were more prevalent, like they were pushing us towards bigger and bigger packages now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Beth says, just learning about oxalate, feel overwhelmed as a newbie. Yeah, Beth, I totally hear what you have to say. It
Yeah,
is overwhelming. Um, as as carnivores and as those of us in this realm, like we're throwing a lot of new info out there that goes directly against what you've learned, and so it can be overwhelming for sure.
yeah, I would say about I'm just going to throw out a bunch of words that are probably going to scare you. Oxalates, salicylates, well, what's the other one? There's a third thing
Lectins,
that like,
phytates,
oh yeah,
glutens.
um, all of those. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of substances that exist in plants foods, and people have done a lot of research into um, what those are, how they harm you, what foods they occur in the most. But you know what? If you're just eating meat doesn't have any of those things. So you don't have to worry about it. Like as a new carnivore, you, I think, need to focus on what we're talking about today, which is getting away from sugar. The oxalate conversation you can have 6 months to 3 years down the line when you're there.
Hmm.
Like there's so much healing that can be done just by focusing on eating meat and cutting out plants, cutting out sugar.
Hmm. But if
Um,
you notice that you have some weird or painful kind of reactions along the way as you're doing carnivore, then, come back around and ask us what's going on, because that may be a sign that you're having that oxalate dumping, which, is uncomfortable. Um,
mhm.
and doesn't feel good. Some of us just powered through it. Other people didn't really have that. Other people had to find ways to moderate it so that it didn't derail them. So, but first things first, you gotta, get off the sugar and get, get started with the carnivore
Yeah,
and see how that goes, because that will deal with a lot of things. That will help with a lot of things.
yeah. Like in the beginning, you should be focused on simplicity and just staying the course.
Hmm.
Did you
Yeah.
have did you experience like oxalate dumping when you
I don't
started?
know. I'd kind of heard about it, but by the time that I heard Sally Norton speaking, I had already been doing carnivore for like a year. So, she was kind of talking about moderating or, eating some food that's high in oxalates briefly to kind of slow down the oxalate dumping. But for me, it was like, I've already been doing this a year. Like, you know, I'm not gonna like go backwards.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm already in for penny and for pound, so I'm just gonna deal with it. If there is dumping, let me deal with it. I mean, I definitely had some not ideal things happening in the beginning, but for me that I think for me that was it was a lot of cravings. I think, there were a lot of changes in my gut microbiome. I think I struggled a lot in that way in the beginning.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't think I had any dumping. By the time I went carnivore, I did have a brief period, brief in terms of, relatively over the course of life, but it actually lasted probably a couple years where I bought a NutriBullet and every day I was having a smoothie that the main ingredient was a lot of times spinach. I couldn't do kale. Kale was just it was too far, too bitter. I couldn't go that far.
Hmm.
But the base would be spinach and then like a ton of fruit.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but I stopped doing that long before I went carnivore.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
don't think I had any oxalate dumping.
Hmm. I mean, I would think that I mean, I didn't eat a lot of greens, but I ate a ton of nuts, which, are high in it. Chocolate,
Oh
um,
yeah.
tea.
I had a lot of nuts when I was keto.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of places where you could pick up a lot of oxalates. So, but it doesn't necessarily express itself in joint pain. I mean, that's one thing. But if you all are interested in oxalates, I did have an interview with Sally Norton, which was really fascinating, and we talked about women's health. And I have endometriosis, and like the scarring and the scarring and the laying down of tissues in the wrong place, which is essentially what endometriosis is her theory is that's how oxalate problems with oxalates expressed itself in my body. So for some
Mm.
people, it might be like kidney stones and stuff. For other people, it might be like joint pain. For other people, it is, it's happening in the uterus or with the ovaries or, in the reproductive, some in various ways in the reproductive system. So oxalates, what she said was that oxalates go to where you are weak, and you can be weak in lots of different places. So, and it's going to be different for different people. So for me, it was my reproductive system, but for somebody else, it could be, their joints. So in the reproductive system, I didn't have pain. I just learned about it as, things started to get wackier and wackier. But, um, so I don't know. You might experience oxalate dumping without it necessarily being, painful or
Mm.
something that you notice and that that's what's happening.
Yeah, it's possible.
Hmm.
In which case, I'm thankful because it doesn't sound comfortable at all. So I'm glad I didn't have those symptoms.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. We can only muddle through and do the best that we can. But in any case, eating carnivore is, well, in my opinion, always going to be um, a better choice that leads you to better health in the long run. Certainly better than, just eating the standard American diet for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. I hope that we had we talked about Shun Shun's interview. I hope that we covered it enough for everybody. I really encourage you, if you haven't seen it, to go back and watch it. It really was, I thought, just an enlightening and a fascinating conversation, and one that we all really need to have. Like, I think I love that Delisa's husband, really made that connection between slavery and sugar. Like, sugar is not this innocuous thing that means nothing. It is our ancestors. It is who, how we came to be here. It is how, we were, or people attempted to destroy us as a people. So don't give yourself into it and just, you know, accept it without question. It is, it is it is a drug in and of itself, and it needs to be treated as one.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree completely.
So, if you are interested, I don't know, if you are interested in pursuing that and thinking and being part of a group that, that addresses sugar addiction, let me know. Send me a message on Instagram, and let me know, because I think I really would like to put together a call, maybe one call before Christmas, and just kind of see, what people are feeling, what they have to say. Um, I am not leading here. I'm just, facilitating, because I don't know the answers either. But I do think that we really need to think about sugar differently in order to have the kind of success we need to have. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's the beginning.
Hmm.
Probably the one part that I can't settle on, and it's because no one else has settled, is sugar worse than seed oils? Like,
No, I would say I'm in team equally bad, but in different ways.
yeah, that's how it feels to me. It feels like there's almost no point in arguing one versus the other.
Hmm. Yeah.
They both absolutely have to go.
Yeah. Yeah. In different ways, though. So I notice
Yeah.
when I have the experience of my body on a French fry versus a Jolly Rancher is different, and it almost
Hmm.
feels like physically the French fry is worse. Like, I have more inflammation, more itching, and more discomfort. But that Jolly Rancher, starts a whole wave of behavior that, is also bad. So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. because I've experienced what I felt like. I'm pretty sure it was inflammation just from eating a bunch of like
Hmm.
you go order wings from a place that is not reputable. You're not getting wings cooked in any sort of good
Hmm.
fat. It's definitely some like peanut oil or something worse than that.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, you feel that pain
Yeah.
very quickly. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have then a craving for wings the next day.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. I when I saw it was chicharron being sold by I went to a fair earlier, a street fair earlier this year, and there was a bunch of different stands, and there were a couple of Latin American ones, and they were selling chicharron, which is like basically the deep fried pork belly. So I was like,
Hmm.
yes, I love that stuff. But then I looked and I could see that they had basically soybean oil that they were deep frying it in. And I was like, oh, but I had already ordered it. They were getting it ready, and I thought, well, it'll be okay. It'll be
Hmm.
fine. It was not fine. It was not fine
Mm.
at all. So, yeah, I did not crave that again, and my body was like, "Big F you to you."
I don't know who told you to do this.
Yeah, yeah. And Sugar Mode Off says inflammation is equally bad for you. She is right. But seed oils are less addictive. So there you go.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
So,
inclined to agree.
yeah. All right, everybody. So we have had a wonderful conversation tonight. I look forward to, continuing to talk about it. And let's see, Juan64250 is interested in, being a part of this sugar addiction group. So definitely send me a message on Instagram so I can make sure to get you some info. Um, yeah, and E-Taylor says, for me, the sugar is worse. I get inflamed right away. Yeah, well, sugar is also inflammatory. So, yep, they're all bad. Yes, Chris is right.
Hmm.
They are all bad. There is no better or worse. Okay, so next week we have, so I have another guest host, Michelle, who I will send out a notification about her. But she is I think she is Island Girl. I think that's her handle, who is often here. And we're going to have a great conversation. So, everybody, make sure you come next week. Oh, Sugar Mode Off just posted Sugar List on IG. So that's super helpful. Everybody, first of all, everybody go follow Sugar Mode Off. That is Shun. She's amazing, and she puts out such informative posts. So it's really amazing. So definitely check her out. And check out the posted list of sugar on Instagram. And let's see, E. Taylor. Okay, you're interested
Interested
in the
in the group
group.
too.
Excellent. Okay,
So,
so make sure you
do
send me
these
a
people have
message
a
on
way to?
Instagram.
Okay, good.
So
That's what I
make
was
sure
gonna
to
ask. How
send
are they
me.
to contact you?
Yeah. Well, send me a message on Instagram. But what I think I'm going to do is send out an e-blast to my email list and just ask who is interested and who would like to come and have like a preliminary meeting and then just go ahead and start that way and just kind of see how it goes. I mean, I almost there's a lot of ways to go, a lot of ways that people are kind of dealing with sugar addiction these days, and food addiction, but it is, I feel like it has become so prevalent that we have to speak to it. And and I see people just struggling and struggling with their diets and with getting healthier. And I think a lot of times it's just not understanding how these foods are impacting us. And so we have to educate ourselves. And I think, that's what this is really, just understanding how these foods like biologically function in the brain, how they are like specifically designed to make you want more and more and go back for more and more. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, yeah, like I, so I I definitely I want to see what we can do with this. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to send out an e-blast to my email list, and I will probably post about it on Instagram and all the places. But still, even as I do that, like 90% of whoever is interested in Black Carnivore doesn't see any of those things. So I'll do my best to get the info out there. And oh, and the challenge. My challenge started yesterday. It is awesome. And I'm really excited about it. And I think that it is a really great place for people to, get started and to get the support that they need. So, yeah, like it is. So if you didn't want to do it going into Christmas, and I get it, I get this is there's a lot of good fun things to eat at this time of year, so I get why you might not be, ready to do it. But if you're thinking about January, it's time to get yourself back together. Make sure you get ready for my challenge in January. I really want to add a lot more things to it, and really make it very robust. And I think you'll really enjoy it. So. All right. And oh, and sugar mode off. Thank you so much for the sugar chat. Sugar chat, the super chat. Well, my name means something sweet. Like, as much as I hear I'm bad mouthing sugar, that's what my name means.
Guess what NA means?
Yes, it means sweet.
Oh,
Yeah. So, I get sugar on the brain. But anyway, thank you, Sugar Mode Off, for the super chat. It's super helpful, and I really appreciate it. Thanks,
yeah, thank
Delisa.
you. Shout out to Delisa.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And Shun, I will be in touch about this Zoom group. I would love your help or assistance in any way possible doing it. But I think that we need some ideas about how to treat it, how to treat the addiction, and go from there. So, all
Hmm.
right, everybody. So have a great one, and we'll see you next week. All right,
Bye.
bye.